NBA players that forever made history and you didn't even know. There are plenty of records in the NBA that will likely never be broken. We've seen teams with ridiculous winning streaks, crazy seasons, and records that seem like they'll never happen again. Bill Russell is argued to be, by some, the best player in the NBA history due to his 11 championships with the Celtics. It seems like no player will ever reach this feat because players like to hop from one team to the next after winning a championship. Thanks to Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. Keep watching to see which NBA players forever made history. 33-game win streak. Do you know how hard it is to win 33 straight games in a season? On October 31st, 1971, the Los Angeles Lakers were 6-3 on the season. At that point, the Lakers didn't lose a single game until 1972. Then they reeled off 33 straight wins. Of course, one of the best players in the league, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, scored 39 points and 20 rebounds to end the Lakers' streak and win a game for the Bucks. The Lakers went down 70 days without a loss. In the rest of the season, the Lakers went 30-10 to close out 1972 and won the NBA title. What a season. Only the 2012-2013 Heat came closest to breaking the Lakers mark, winning 27 straight games that season. Now, with load management, it's going to be increasingly hard for teams to win anywhere close to 33 games in a row. Star players aren't caring enough during the regular season to make a streak like this happen. The 2019-2020 season, the Milwaukee Bucks put together a season-high 18-game winning streak. That was impressive, and that's just half of what the Lakers had. There's also more balance in today's game. Clearly, there's more talent than ever on every team, and there's no easy victories in the NBA anymore. But we've seen that same Bucks team lose to Phoenix Suns this season. This team consisted of Wilt Chamberlain, Eglin Baylor, and Jerry West. No wonder this team dominated during the entire season. Warriors, 73 wins. Just a few years ago, the Golden State Warriors finished the 2015-2016 season with a 73-9 record. This broke the Chicago's Bull record when they had 72 wins when Michael Jordan was still in the league. It's shocking that the Warriors were able to put together a better regular season than the 95-96 Bulls. Golden State won its 73rd game of the campaign with a 125-104 win over the Memphis Grizzlies. That was the craziest record you'll ever see in the NBA again. Do you know how hard it is to stay healthy and win games where you don't even lose 10 in the NBA all season long? This record will never be broken again, at least probably not in our lifetime. Even a full all-star team would likely have trouble winning 73 games in a season. This is without Kevin Durant. Then Durant came to the team and they couldn't win 73 games. It's a wild record that'll be history forever. In that 73rd game, Steph Curry led the way with 46 points, 6 assists, and made 10 three-pointers. Draymond Green just missed a triple-double with 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. And Klay Thompson chimed in with 16 points along with 4 threes. Curry flashed excellence all season long with 30.1 points per game as he shot 50.4% shooting from the field, 45% from the three-point line, and 90.8% shooting from the free throw line. Curry was looking to defend his MVP season and had another ridiculous season. Again, this was the season before Durant. Curry was so consistent that season to help the Warriors win and make history forever. The Warriors were fantastic shooters, but also had ridiculous chemistry and made the right reads along with sharing the ball around the court effectively. The question coming into this game was if the Warriors would actually make history again against the Grizzlies. Tying the Bulls would be bittersweet for sure. Curry drained multiple shots to make an astounding lead. The game was actually over pretty quickly. Curry actually hit over 400 threes in that one season. What's ridiculous is that nobody hits even 300 threes prior to Curry's 400 three-point season. Steph had 16 games with 8 or more threes that year. Again, no one has that many for a career. The Warriors ended up not winning a title and losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Instead of restarting the next season with the same squad, Kevin Durant eventually came over. While the Warriors didn't win 73 games, they ended up winning the title that season, which made up for their lack of wins in the regular season. Players were still happy with the result of the season as they reflected. There was doubt about the Warriors that season. Andrew Bogut replied to the hate and said that if anybody asked me in 20 years, I'm going to say everyone sucks, for Zach Harper of CBS Sports. Draymond Green brought Durant over to the Warriors even after winning as many games as they did. Green didn't care what anyone thought. When you have an opportunity for something like that, you go for it. That's what we did. Golden State coach Steve Kerr talked about that season and said, "I'm proud of the team for putting it all out there and laying it all out on the line through 82 games." Steph Curry was ridiculous all season long for the Warriors. He helped lead them to a ridiculous season where they still fell short of a title. Still, the accomplishments that were made will never go unnoticed. This record will more than likely never be broken. Jose Calderon's 98.1% The former Toronto Raptors guard, Jose Calderon, had a free throw percentage in a single season of 98.1%. He was basically a robot when shooting foul shots this season. In the 2008-2009 season, Calderon missed just 3 foul shots all season long, going 151 out of 154 free throw attempts. There was a time when he knocked down 87 straight foul shots. Here's the argument for his record, though. Calderon only played 68 of the 82 regular season games that year. He had a career free throw percentage of 87.8%. If he played in the other 14 games, his record would surely not be 98.1%. Either way, it's impressive. This record could eventually be broken. Guards are always practicing foul shots, and 1 or 2 players could eventually find a method and rhythm to never miss one again. This record looks pretty unbreakable, but as we move on to a different era, this one seems like it might be broken. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 38,387 points. We talked about how Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke a huge record. Now, we'll talk about a record that might never be broken again. He scored a career 38,387 points without a three-point shot. Think about scoring all those points without attempting a three. The only reason why this record can be broken is due to a three-point shot and how players have adapted to taking the long ball. Currently, LeBron James is getting close to Kareem's total. However, James came out of high school to play in the NBA. That's currently not allowed. This benefited James when trying to reach this record. James has averaged around 2,000 points per season, which means without pandemic delays every season, James could be on pace to be the #1 all-time scorer. If James were to reach the most points in the NBA, this record would likely never be broken again unless they either bring in the three-point line or add a 4-point shot. Let's even say that James dips in his performance. Let's say he only scores 20 points per game. He could reach Abdul-Jabbar's in about 3 or 4 seasons. Kareem scored 23.4 points when he was 38. You can expect LeBron to average more points at his age, 38. James is more prepared to play that long into his career. James keeps in such good shape that he could likely play into his 40s. James could be a secondary scorer once he's 40. Maybe he wouldn't average 20 points, but he'd score enough to get the #1 spot in the record books. Now he's got Anthony Davis, which helps him find a shot more frequently because Davis is another big-name superstar that he's playing with. Rasheed Wallace's 41 technicals in a season. Imagine arguing with a referee 41 times in a single season. Rasheed Wallace did just that. Rasheed Wallace's 41 technicals. He had 41 technical fouls in the 2000-2001 season. This record will never be breakable. Not even Draymond Green could beat this record at some point in his career. There's just no way. Wallace is known for being one of the craziest NBA players ever. Therefore, the league had to change the technical foul rule in 2006. Because of Wallace, once a player reaches 16 technicals, he gets suspended 1 game without pay. And then he's suspended 1 game without pay for each additional technical foul they compile. No player will ever reach 41 techs with this new rule. That is an absolute given. Let's say that someone was on Wallace's technical foul pace. That player wouldn't have enough games to get technical fouls in. If a player got a technical in every other game like Wallace, he'd get suspended by the 32nd game. Therefore, there would only be 50 regular season games to get 25 technicals, meaning he has to get a technical in every single game that he's eligible to play in. A player can go in 1 game without a technical foul, right? So yeah, it's technically impossible for someone to reach Wallace's technical foul streak, but no player would sacrifice a large chunk of their salary to reach this record. Let's be real. With this 16 technical foul rule in place, Wallace's 41 will more than likely stand forever. It's in the history books and it'll never leave. Bill Russell's 11 championships. Some will say that Bill Russell is the best player to ever play in the NBA due to his rings. He has more rings than fingers, and of course, Russell is leading in the NBA with 11 titles after winning them all with the Boston Celtics. Russell was the only player of all those 11 championship teams with the Celtics. I'm out of fingers! Robert Horry and John Salley won championships with 3 different teams. Russell stayed loyal. In 2017-2018, 5 players joined the 3 championship clubs thanks to the Warriors team. They've made plenty of history that season. Those players included Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Shaun Livingston, and Klay Thompson. Patrick McCaw won his 3rd championship in the 2018-2019 season. The only other active players with 3 titles are LeBron James and Udonis Haslem. Nowadays, many players are moving to different teams and aren't staying loyal. It's going to be really hard to win 11 championships with just 1 team. Players like Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant literally left their team after winning championships. That's why this record will never be broken in history, will be made forever with Russell. The only loyal stars that have stuck together are Curry, Thompson, and Green. They were all drafted and polished by the Warriors. That's really the only way a player will win this many titles with a team. They have to get lucky and win with players that were drafted around the same time as them. Wilt Chamberlain's 50.4 points per game season. You've heard about how good Wilt Chamberlain was. But you don't know that he averaged 50.4 points per game, 25.7 rebounds per game, and 2.4 assists per game. These stats are just laughable at this point. He had 50 points per game in a single season. If Steph Curry wanted to score 50.4 points per game, he would have to average around 7 more threes per game to match Wilt's 50 that season. LeBron would have to double his average scoring output. Kobe, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, averaged 35.4 points in 2005-2006. Kobe would have needed about 15 more 81-point games to average 50 points per game. Instead, he just got 1. Reality is that Wilt put up my player NBA 2K numbers. He had 45 games where he scored at least 50 points. He had 15 games with 60 or more points. His worst game was when he just scored 26 points against 11-time champion Bill Russell in the Celtics. Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. For any young basketball enthusiast, you might have never even heard or seen that Wilt Chamberlain had a 100-point game. Before scoring 100 points on December 8, 1961, he scored 78 against the LA Lakers. That was a single-season best until a month or so later he dropped 100 points. That game was only witnessed by 4,000 fans as the NBA wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. Wilt played 48 minutes and also grabbed 25 rebounds that night with his 100 points. The picture of Wilt holding 100 on a card was captured by a photographer after the game. Wilt was averaging over 50 points per game at the time and doubled that output in this one. Kobe came close to 100 with an 81-point performance. We've seen other stats get close to Kobe's game against the Raptors. Still, we haven't seen any player get close to 100, even with the three-point ball in play. Some of the guys in today's league shoot with so much volume that you feel like a player of that caliber, James Harden, would hit 100 points at some point. If another Chamberlain comes around in the NBA, it'll be quite the scene. At this point, it's going to be a sharpshooter who will achieve this record. I think it'll be broken eventually, but 100 points is a real difficult feat. You have to be on your game, get no breaks, and make sure the game is close so you're not taken out. A lot has to go your way.